The Great Council chamber was silent. Representatives from 40 different species sat in their floating seats, watching the tall, scaled figure at the center speak. Ambassador Thelzarn was old, even by his people's long living standards. His green scales had faded to almost white, and his eyes carried the weight of centuries. "I am begging you," Thelzarn said, his voice echoing through the chamber. "Do not attack the humans," General Vormix laughed. The Crethean commander stood tall on his four legs, his black armor reflecting the chamber's lights. His species had conquered 47 star systems in just 30 years. They were strong, fast, and fearless. "Begging?" Vormix's voice was full of mockery. "The mighty Velkari, who ruled the galaxy for 1,000 years, begging on behalf of humans? These soft creatures who barely control 20 systems?" Thelzarn closed his eyes. He had seen this arrogance before. "General, I have lived for 347 years. In that time I have witnessed 6 major galactic wars. The humans have fought in 2 of them. Both times their enemies no longer exist." "Propaganda," Vormix snapped. "We have studied the humans." "Yes, they fought the crack swarms 80 years ago. "Yes, they won. But the cracks were insects driven by simple hive minds. We are not insects, Ambassador. We are thinking-planning predators." Another council member, a floating Quellan made of crystalline light, chimed in. "The general has a point, Ambassador. Human technology is inferior to Crethean designs. Their ships are slower. Their weapons have less range. Their empire is scattered across space with long supply lines." Thelzarn opened his eyes. "You see their weakness. You do not see their strength." "Then enlighten us," Vormix said, crossing his forearms. "What makes these prey animals so dangerous?" "They are not prey animals," Thelzarn said quietly. "That is your first mistake. Look at human history. On their homeworld they were not the fastest, not the strongest, not the most protected by armor or claws. They survived by being the most stubborn." He activated a hologram. It showed a human from ancient times running across an open plain. "This is how humans hunted, General. They would find an animal, something faster, stronger, better suited to survive. They would chase it. The animal would run. It would escape easily, but the human would follow. Hours would pass. The animal would rest, thinking it was safe. The human would appear again. More running. More chasing. This would continue for days sometimes. The human never stopped, never gave up. Eventually, the animal would collapse from exhaustion. Then the human would kill it." Vormix snorted. "Ancient history. We are talking about space warfare. Am I?" Thelzarn's voice became harder. "Let me tell you about the Rim War. The crack swarms had billions of warriors. They had ships that could block out stars. They attacked human colonies without warning, killing millions. The humans fought back, but they were losing. System after system fell. The chamber was quiet now. Everyone knew this story, but few knew the details. The cracks thought they had won," Thelzarn continued. "They began building hives on conquered human worlds. Then the humans changed their strategy. They stopped trying to defend every system. Instead, they started hunting. Small human ships would attack crack supply lines. Cracks worlds would find their food shipments destroyed. Hive ships would disappear in the deep space between stars." He changed the hologram. It now showed a map of the Rim territories. The cracks sent more warriors. The humans adapted. They studied cracks biology and created diseases that only killed cracks. They learned how cracks hives communicated and fed them false information. They turned cracks hives against each other. The war lasted 18 years, Thelzarn said. In the end, the crack swarms numbered less than 10 million. From billions, the humans didn't just defeat them. They nearly wiped them from existence. The remaining cracks fled to the dark spaces beyond the galactic rim. They have never returned. The Quellan representative flickered nervously. But surely the humans suffered great losses too. They did, Thelzarn agreed. 15 colony worlds destroyed. 30 million dead. Their fleet was reduced to a fraction of its size. And yet they won. Do you understand why? Because humans don't fight wars to win battles. They fight wars to eliminate threats completely. Vormix shifted on his legs. You're trying to frighten us with stories. I am trying to save your species, Thelzarn said. The Crethean Dominion plans to take 3 human colony systems in the Harmony sector. You see them as weak targets, lightly defended, far from the main human fleet. You think you will conquer them quickly, and the humans will negotiate rather than fight a long war. Exactly, Vormix said. A quick strike. Establish our presence. Force them to recognize our claim to that region of space. Thelzarn moved closer to the Krathian general. Despite his age, he moved with purpose. General Vormix, if you attack those colonies, the humans will destroy you. Not might. Will. They will dismantle your empire piece by piece. They will hunt your fleets across the galaxy. They will not stop until your people beg for mercy. And even then, they might not stop. We are apex predators, Vormix shouted. We have conquered 47 systems. We have never lost a war. Neither had the cracks, Thelzarn said softly. Until they met the humans. The council chamber erupted in debate. Some species sided with Thelzarn. Others supported the Krathian expansion. Hours passed with no agreement. Finally, Vormix spoke again. The Krathian Dominion respects the council's concerns, but we do not share them. Our decision is made. We will take the Harmony colonies. If the humans wish to negotiate, we will listen. If they wish to fight, we will crush them. Thelzarn watched the general leave the chamber. The old ambassador felt a deep sadness. He had tried. He had warned them. But arrogance was a disease that no words could cure. As the council session ended, Thelzarn sent a message to an old friend. Captain Sarah Chen of the Human Colonial Defense Fleet. They had met decades ago during a peacekeeping mission. She was one of the few humans he truly respected. The message was brief. They will not listen. Prepare your people. I am sorry. 3 weeks later, the Krathian fleet began moving toward the Harmony colonies. 200 warships, the largest invasion force the Dominion had ever assembled. General Vormix commanded from the flagship Conqueror's Pride. He was confident. He was prepared. He was ready to add 3 more systems to his empire's glory. He had no idea what was coming. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UHNS Defiant watching her screens. The Krathian fleet had just jumped into the new Harmony system. 200 contacts appeared on the display, each one a warship. Her own fleet had only 30 ships. All civilian transports have cleared the planet, her first officer reported. Last evacuation ship just jumped to safety, Sarah nodded. She was a small woman, barely 5 feet tall with short black hair and calm brown eyes. She had commanded the Defiant for 7 years. She had never lost a ship under her command, and she didn't plan to start now. Signal to all ships, she said. Begin retreat pattern Delta 7. Make them chase us. The Krathian fleet advanced. General Vormix watched from his flagship as the human ships turned and ran. He smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. They flee without even fighting, he said to his officers. I expected more from these supposedly dangerous humans. Should we pursue them, General? His tactical officer asked. No, Vormix decided. Let them run. Our mission is to take the colony, not chase cowards through space. Begin landing operations. Thousands of Krathian soldiers descended to New Harmony's surface. The planet was beautiful, with blue oceans and green continents. 3 cities housed 2 million human colonists, or they had before the evacuation. The Krathian soldiers found empty streets. Buildings stood intact, but every human was gone. Shops were locked. Homes were sealed. The power was still running, the lights still on. But the cities were ghost towns. Sir, this is strange, a squad leader reported to his commander. Everything is here, but nothing is here. The buildings, the roads, the parks, all empty. They left everything behind. The commander studied his surroundings. Something felt wrong. Begin searching for supplies, food, medicine, fuel. The humans couldn't have taken everything, but they had. Every warehouse was empty. Every fuel depot drained. Every food storage facility cleaned out. The humans had stripped the cities of anything useful. Even the computer systems had been wiped clean. They abandoned their homes but took all their supplies, the commander muttered. Why? He got his answer 3 hours later. A patrol of 20 Krathian soldiers entered a transit tunnel connecting 2 cities. They were ambushed. Human guerrilla fighters emerged from hidden doors in the tunnel walls. Explosives detonated. Weapons fired. In 30 seconds, all 20 Krathians were dead. Before reinforcements could arrive, the humans vanished into the tunnel system. The Krathians discovered that New Harmony had hundreds of miles of underground tunnels. The colonists had built them for transportation and emergency shelters. Now they were perfect for guerrilla warfare. More patrols disappeared. Krathian soldiers would enter buildings that seemed empty and never come out. Supply convoys would be attacked on open roads, the attackers melting away before response teams arrived. At night, the cities became death traps. Vormix was furious. How can they fight us when we hold all the cities? Where are they hiding? His intelligence officer showed him a map. The tunnels, sir. We've mapped only 10% of the system. The humans know every passage, every hiding spot. We're fighting them on their territory. Then collapse the tunnels, Vormix ordered. Seal them off. We've tried, sir. The tunnels are reinforced. It would take weeks to destroy them all, and the humans keep reopening them from the inside. Vormix made a decision. Prepare orbital bombardment. Target the tunnel entrances. If we can't reach them underground, we'll bury them. The bombardment began. Crethean warships fired from orbit, turning parts of the cities into rubble. But the humans had prepared for this too. Most of their people were deep underground, protected by hundreds of feet of rock and reinforced concrete. The bombardment destroyed buildings but killed few guerrillas. Meanwhile, in space, Captain Chen's fleet was far from idle. They had retreated to the outer system, but they hadn't left. Her ships moved through the asteroid belt, hiding among the rocks. They watched. They waited. They learned. The Cretheans are predictable, Chen said, studying their patterns. Their supply ships arrive every 48 hours. Always the same route. Always the same formation. So we hit them, her weapons officer suggested. Not yet, Chen said. We need to be patient. Let them get comfortable. Let them think they're safe. While the Cretheans bombed New Harmony from orbit, Chen's fleet was busy. They mined the jump points with stealth mines. They established hidden supply caches on asteroids throughout the system. They sent small drones to map every Crethean ship's position and movement pattern. 6 days after the invasion began, Vormix received a message. A single human courier ship jumped into the system, transmitted a message, and jumped out before the Cretheans could respond. The message was simple. You have 48 hours to withdraw from New Harmony. This is your only warning. Leave now, or face the consequences. Vormix read the message and laughed. He had 200 warships. He controlled the planet. The humans had already evacuated their civilians. They had nothing left to fight for. He recorded his response. Humans, your colony is now part of the Crethean Dominion. You have 48 hours to acknowledge our sovereignty over this system. If you do not, we will consider you in a state of rebellion. He sent the message, then turned to his officers. Have our scientists analyze the planet. I want to know what resources we can extract. This world will fuel our next conquest. But his officers looked worried. General, one said quietly, the humans don't make empty threats. They warned the Cracks during the Rim War. Once, the Cracks ignored it. And the humans won that war, Vormix said. After 18 years of fighting, we are not insects driven by instinct. We can adapt. We can plan. If they want a war, we'll give them one they can't win. 48 hours passed. The deadline came and went. Vormix waited for a response. None came, no human fleet appeared. No attacks happened. Nothing changed, they were bluffing, Vormix announced. All that reputation and they don't even have the courage to fight us directly. His tactical officer was monitoring communications. Suddenly his face went pale. General, we're receiving distress calls. Multiple distress calls from our territory. What? Vormix demanded. The officer's hands shook as he processed the information. Sir, we're under attack. Not here, back home. Our shipyards at Crathes 7 are reporting a human fleet. Our supply depot at Vortan 3 is under bombardment. Our communication relay at General, we're receiving reports from 12 different systems, all under simultaneous attack. Vormix felt ice run through his veins. 12 systems? That's impossible. The humans don't have enough ships to attack 12 systems at once. They're not trying to conquer the systems, sir, the officer said, his voice shaking. They're destroying infrastructure, shipyards, supply depots. Communication relays. Our patrol is reporting that human ships jumped in, fired on military targets, and jumped out. Surgical strikes. They knew exactly where to hit us. The general stared at the reports flooding in. The humans hadn't come to fight for New Harmony. They had come to break the Crethean Dominion. And they had chosen the perfect moment to strike, when his largest fleet was hundreds of light years away from home. Outside his flagship, space began to shimmer. Chen's fleet dropped out of hiding, their weapons charged and ready. They had waited for this exact moment when the Cretheans were distracted and confused. All ships, Chen said calmly. Begin attack pattern Omega. Show them why they should have listened to the warning. The battle for New Harmony had truly begun. The human fleet emerged from the asteroid field like sharks from dark water. Chen's 30 ships had been joined by 40 more that had arrived quietly over the past week. 70 human warships against 200 Krethian vessels. Still outnumbered but no longer helpless, target their command ship, Chen ordered. All missiles, full spread. Make them notice us. The Defiant and a dozen other human ships fired simultaneously. Hundreds of missiles streaked toward Vormix's flagship. The Krethian point defense systems activated, destroying most of the missiles. But not all. 20 warheads struck the Conqueror's Pride, overwhelming its shields. The massive ship shuddered but held together. They dare! Vormix roared. All ships, destroy them. I want every human vessel turned to debris. The Krethian fleet turned to engage. But they quickly discovered something strange. The human ships weren't fighting like a normal fleet. They didn't form battle lines. They didn't try to hold positions. Instead, they scattered in all directions, forcing the Krethians to split up to chase them. They're running again, Vormix said. Cowards. But his tactical officer saw something different. General, this isn't a retreat. Look at their pattern. They're leading our ships into specific areas. Too late, the Krethians discovered what Chen had been doing for the past week. The space around New Harmony was now filled with stealth mines. Human ships flew through safe corridors they had carefully mapped. Krethian ships chasing blindly hit mine after mine. Explosions bloomed across the battlefield. 12 Krethian ships were destroyed in the first 10 minutes. 20 more were damaged. The Krethian fleet slowed, suddenly cautious. Chen watched from her bridge. Phase 2. All wings, attack pattern beta. Hit their engines, not their hulls. Disable, don't destroy. The human ships changed tactics. Instead of running, they now swarmed around larger Krethian vessels. Their weapons targeted specific points, engine modules, power cores, shield generators. Within an hour, 30 Krethian ships were dead in space, floating helplessly with no power. But the battle at New Harmony was just one part of the human response. Across Krethian space, similar attacks were happening. Human fleets had struck at the heart of the Krethian dominion with precision that shocked everyone. At the Krethi 7 shipyards, 8 human ships faced the orbital construction facilities. They didn't waste time fighting the station defenses. Instead, they fired at the shipyards themselves. Half-built warships exploded. Construction equipment melted under sustained fire. In 30 minutes, the shipyards that had built the Krethian fleet were reduced to scrap metal. At Vortan 3, human ships destroyed fuel depots and supply warehouses. Food meant for Krethian colonies burned in space. Replacement parts for warships were vaporized. The supplies that kept the Krethian military running simply ceased to exist. At 12 communication relay stations across Krethian space, human ships appeared simultaneously. They destroyed the relays with surgical precision, then jumped away before reinforcements could arrive. In one coordinated strike, the Krethian Dominion lost its ability to communicate quickly across its empire. The Krethian High Command watched in horror as reports came in. How did they know? The Supreme Commander demanded. How did they know where every critical facility was located? Some of these bases were supposed to be secret. The intelligence director looked sick. Sir, I think they've been watching us for years. Mapping our territory, identifying our weaknesses. They knew exactly where to hit us and when. On New Harmony's surface, the situation had also changed. With the orbital bombardment stopped, human guerrillas became more aggressive. They emerged from the tunnels in larger groups, hitting Krethian positions with coordinated attacks. But now they had new weapons. The colonists had been mining this world for years. They understood explosives and heavy machinery. Civilian equipment became military weapons. Mining lasers designed to cut through rock, cut through Krethian armor just as easily. Industrial vehicles were modified into armored fighting machines. One Krethian unit found themselves facing what looked like mining vehicles. They laughed at first. Then the vehicles opened fire with mining lasers powerful enough to punch through starship hulls. The entire unit was wiped out in seconds. They've weaponized everything, a Krethian commander screamed into his radio. Their mining equipment, their construction vehicles, even their farming machines. How do you fight an enemy that turns every tool into a weapon? More disturbing reports came from the medical teams. Krethian soldiers were getting sick, not from human weapons, but from diseases, specifically targeted diseases that only affected Krethian biology. The humans have created biological weapons. The chief medical officer reported to Vormix. These diseases don't affect other species, only us. They must have been studying our biology for years to create something this specific. Vormix stared at the reports piling up on his command screen. Losses across 12 systems. Communication disrupted. Supply lines cut. His fleet at New Harmony trapped and damaged. And now biological warfare. We need reinforcements, he said. Contact the Second Fleet. Tell them to abandon their patrol routes and come to New Harmony immediately. His communication officer looked up. Sir, we can't. The relay stations are destroyed. We can only send messages by courier ship. It will take days for the Second Fleet to even receive our request. Then send the couriers now, Vormix shouted, but the courier ships were already gone. In the chaos of the human attack, they had been among the first targets. Every ship capable of jumping between stars at New Harmony had been disabled or destroyed. The mighty Crethian invasion fleet was isolated, cut off from the rest of their empire. Chen watched the battlefield from the Defiant. The Crethian fleet was in disarray. Some ships tried to maintain orbit over New Harmony. Others attempted to reach the jump points to escape. A few brave ones tried to engage her fleet directly. They're not retreating as a unit, her tactical officer observed. They're panicking. Good, Chen said coldly. Panicked enemies make mistakes. Continue targeting their command and control ships. Take out their officers and the rest will fall apart. A young ensign on her bridge looked uncomfortable. Captain, we have dozens of disabled enemy ships. Should we finish them off? Chen looked at the young man. No, leave them alive but helpless. Every ship we disable is a ship they have to rescue. It drains their resources to save their own people. Dead enemies are martyrs. Living, defeated enemies are lessons. The ensign nodded slowly, beginning to understand the cruelty of this strategy. The humans weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting to teach a lesson. In the tunnels below New Harmony, Sarah received a message from Earth Command. She read it quickly, then smiled for the first time in days, ma'am. Her first officer asked. Earth Command is sending the 2nd, 5th, and 7th fleets, she said. 300 ships. They'll be here in 5 days. That seems like overkill, the officer said. We've already won here. This isn't about New Harmony anymore, Chen said, looking at the bigger picture. The Crethians attacked us. Now we're going to show the entire galaxy what happens when you attack humanity. We're going to dismantle their empire piece by piece, and we're going to make sure everyone watches. She opened a channel to the remaining Crethian ships. General Vormix, this is Captain Sarah Chen. You have one chance to surrender. Lower your shields, power down your weapons, and prepare to be boarded. You will be treated according to the rules of war. Refuse, and we will destroy every ship you have. On the Conqueror's Pride, Vormix listened to the message. Around him, his bridge crew waited for orders. The proud general looked at his screen, seeing his fleet scattered and broken. He thought of Ambassador Thelzarn's warning. The old reptile had been right, but pride was a hard thing to swallow. Signal to all ships, Vormix said quietly. We fight to the last. Chen heard the response and shook her head sadly. They chose poorly. All ships weapons free. Show no mercy to those who refuse mercy. The battle continued, but now it was just butchery. The human fleet systematically destroyed every Crethian ship that refused to surrender. One by one, the proud warships of the Crethian Dominion died in the cold space around New Harmony. By the end of the day, only 40 Crethian ships remained. 20 had surrendered. 20 more, including Vormix's flagship, fled the system in defeat. But Chen knew the war had only just begun. The Crethians had attacked humanity. Now humanity would respond in full, and the galaxy would learn why you never ever pick a fight with humans. 3 weeks after the battle at New Harmony, the Crethian High Command met in emergency session on their homeworld of Creth Prime. The news was all bad. 23 systems have reported human attacks, the Supreme Commander said, his forearms gesturing at the holographic map. Our shipyards are destroyed. Our supply depots are empty. Our communication network is in ruins, and now the humans have sent us terms. He activated the message. A human diplomat appeared, an older woman with gray hair and hard eyes. Her words were simple and direct. To the Crethian High Command, you attacked our colony at New Harmony without provocation. You killed 3,000 civilians in your bombardment. You refused our warning to leave peacefully. Therefore, the United Human Nations demands the following: complete and unconditional surrender of all Crethian military forces. Dissolution of the Krathian Dominion. Reparations for damages. You have 72 hours to comply. Refuse and we will dismantle your empire system by system. The message ended. The council chamber was silent. Outrageous, a young commander shouted. We are the Krathian Dominion. We don't surrender. We still have 300 warships, another officer added. We can rally them to defend our core worlds. The humans are overstretched. Their fleets are scattered across our territory. The Supreme Commander looked at his intelligence director. Analysis? The director pulled up reports. The humans currently have approximately 400 warships in Krathian space, but their production capacity is 3 times ours. They can replace losses quickly, we cannot. Our shipyards are gone. Then we rebuild the shipyards, the young commander said. With what? The director snapped. The humans destroyed our supply depots. We don't have the raw materials. We don't have the equipment. It would take us 5 years to rebuild what they destroyed in 3 weeks. So you're saying we should surrender? Another council member asked. The Supreme Commander stood. He was old for a Krathian, his scales scarred from many battles. No, we refuse their terms. Send the message. The Krathian Dominion will never surrender. We will defend our homeworld to the last warrior. The message was sent. Earth Command received it and replied immediately. Not with words, with action. Human fleets began a systematic campaign across Krathian space. They didn't try to conquer. They didn't occupy systems. They destroyed. Every military installation, every government building, every piece of infrastructure that kept the Dominion running, gone. The humans had mapped the Krathian Empire in detail over many years. They knew which systems supplied food, which ones produced fuel, which ones housed military academies, and they struck each one with precision. Krathian colony after colony was left intact, but stripped of everything that made them useful to the Dominion. Power plants were destroyed. Spaceports were demolished. Government centers were leveled. The humans left the people alive but took away their ability to support the war machine. General Vormix, who had escaped New Harmony with 20 damaged ships, tried to rally defenses. He gathered his remaining vessels at a fuel depot in the Korthan system. The humans found them within days. How? Vormix demanded. How do they keep finding us? His tactical officer had the answer. Sir, I think they're tracking us. They must have tagged our ship somehow during the battle at New Harmony. Every time we try to regroup, they know where we are. Vormix felt cold fear. The humans weren't just fighting them. They were hunting them. Like animals. Jump to the Felix Nebula, he ordered. The nebula will hide our sensor signatures. We can lose them there. They jumped. The nebula's thick gases did hide them from sensors. For 3 days, they drifted in silence, hoping the humans would pass them by. On the 4th day, every ship in the fleet simultaneously received a message. Text only, coordinates, their exact location, and a single line. We know where you are, run. Vormix's hands shook as he read it. How? How is this possible? They ran again, system after system. But everywhere they went, the humans found them. Sometimes the humans attacked. Sometimes they just sent coordinates, letting the Krathians know they were being watched. The psychological warfare was devastating. Krathian morale collapsed. Soldiers deserted. Colonies declared independence from the Dominion. The empire that had seemed so strong 3 months ago was falling apart. The humans also waged a propaganda war. They broadcast footage of Krathian defeats on every channel they could reach. They showed Krathian ships fleeing, Krathian soldiers surrendering, Krathian bases burning. But more devastating was what they didn't show. The humans never broadcast images of human casualties, never showed damaged human ships, never revealed their own losses. To the galaxy watching, it looked like the humans were winning effortlessly. Why are they doing this? A Krathian civilian asked in a broadcast that went viral. We attacked one colony. They're destroying our entire civilization. This isn't warfare. This is cruelty. A human journalist responded in an interview that reached billions of viewers across the galaxy. The Krathians were warned. An old proverb from Earth says, when you strike at a king, you must kill him. The Krathians struck at humanity but failed to destroy us. Now they're learning what it means to face an enemy that doesn't quit. 6 weeks into the war, 30 Krathian colonies had petitioned Earth Command for separate peace deals. They wanted to surrender independently, abandoning the High Command on Kreth Prime. Earth Command accepted. The colonies were disarmed but left alone. Food and medical supplies were even sent to help them. The message was clear: surrender and be treated fairly. Fight and be destroyed. More colonies surrendered. Within 2 months, the Krethian Dominion had shrunk from 47 systems to just 8. The core worlds remained loyal to the High Command, but they were surrounded and isolated. Formix finally made it back to Kreth Prime with only 5 ships left from his original fleet of 200. He met with the Supreme Commander in the war room deep beneath the capital city. "We need to negotiate," Formix said. His pride was gone, replaced by exhaustion and fear. "The humans will destroy us all if we don't surrender." "We offered to negotiate," the Supreme Commander said bitterly. "After the first month, we sent envoys offering to return to our original borders, to pay reparations, to sign a peace treaty, and the humans sent our envoys back with a one-word message: no." The Supreme Commander's voice was hollow. "They don't want territory. They don't want resources. They want us broken. They want the entire galaxy to see what happens when you attack humanity." Outside the war room in the streets of Kreth Prime, people were beginning to panic. Food shipments had stopped weeks ago. The orbital farms that fed the planet had been destroyed by human raiders. Fuel was running out. The planet that had once been the proud capital of an empire was slowly starving. Chen had been promoted to admiral after New Harmony. Now she commanded the fleet surrounding Kreth Prime. 300 ships in a perfect blockade. Nothing got in. Nothing got out. Her officers asked when they would assault the planet. Chen just smiled. "We don't need to. We just wait." "Wait for what, Admiral?" "For them to realize that pride isn't worth starvation. The Krathian government keeps saying they'll fight to the last warrior. But the civilians? They just want to eat. Pressure from below is much more effective than assault from above." She was right. 2 weeks into the blockade, riots started on Kreth Prime. Hungry civilians stormed government buildings demanding food, demanding surrender, demanding an end to the war that was killing them all. The Krethian military tried to maintain order, but they were hungry too. Soldiers began abandoning their posts. Some stole shuttles and tried to escape the planet, only to be intercepted by the human blockade. They were given a choice: return to the planet or surrender and be fed. Most chose surrender. Formix stood on a balcony overlooking the capital city. Smoke rose from a dozen fires. He could hear the crowds in the streets chanting for surrender. Behind him, the Supreme Commander sat in his chair, staring at nothing. "It's over," Formix said quietly. "We lost. We lost the moment we attacked New Harmony," the Supreme Commander replied. "The old ambassador tried to warn us. The humans don't fight wars. They eliminate threats, and they don't stop until the threat is gone. Then we surrender. Do we have a choice?" In the end, there was no final battle for Kreth Prime. No glorious last stand. Just a tired old commander signing surrender documents while his people starved outside. The Krethian Dominion, which had ruled 47 systems and seemed unstoppable, ceased to exist exactly 93 days after attacking New Harmony. The humans had proven their point. You could fight them. You might even win some battles. But once humanity decided you were a threat, they would hunt you across the galaxy until you broke, and no one, absolutely no one, got away. 6 months after the war ended, the Galactic Council reconvened. The Great Chamber was packed. Every species wanted to see what would happen next. The humans had crushed the Krethian Dominion in just 3 months. Now everyone wondered, would humanity take the conquered territory for themselves? Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the center of the chamber, wearing her dress uniform. Next to her stood the former Supreme Commander of the Krethian military, now a prisoner of war. Around them, ambassadors from dozens of species watched in silence. The Quellan representative, made of shimmering crystal light, spoke first. "Admiral Chen, the Council has reviewed the terms of the Krethian surrender. We must ask, what are humanity's intentions regarding the former Dominion territories?" Chen's answer was simple. "We're leaving." Surprised murmurs filled the chamber. "Leaving?" the Quellan asked. "But you conquered 47 systems. Surely Earth intends to govern them." "We didn't conquer them," Chen corrected. "We liberated them from Krethian control. Each former colony is free to determine its own future. We've established temporary peacekeeping forces in systems that requested them. Once stable governments are formed, we'll withdraw those forces too." A reptilian ambassador from the Sauron Collective stood. "Admiral, forgive my confusion, but this makes no strategic sense. You spent tremendous resources defeating the Crethians. You lost ships and personnel. And now you simply give away the spoils of war? Chen turned to face the Sauron. We didn't fight for territory. We fought because the Crethians attacked us. They killed our people. They refused our warning, so we removed them as a threat. That's all. But surely some punishment is warranted, another ambassador suggested. Reparations? War crimes trials? Oh, there will be trials, Chen said coldly. We've identified Crethian officers responsible for war crimes. They'll face justice. As for reparations, the Crethian people are bankrupt and starving. We're not going to take what little they have left. Ambassador Thelsarn, who had been silent until now, finally spoke. Admiral Chen is demonstrating something the Council needs to understand. Humanity doesn't seek to rule. They seek to eliminate threats. Once a threat is neutralized, they move on. With respect, Ambassador, the Sauron said, that seems inefficient. If they wanted to eliminate the Crethian threat permanently, they should occupy Kreth Prime. Ensure the Crethians can never threaten anyone again. Chen smiled. But it wasn't a kind smile. Oh, we've ensured that. The Crethian military is disbanded. Their weapons are confiscated. Their shipyards are destroyed. It will take them 50 years to rebuild even a basic defense force. And the entire galaxy just watched us dismantle their empire in 3 months. Do you think anyone on Kreth Prime wants to repeat that experience? The Supreme Commander, standing beside her, spoke for the first time. No one wants to repeat it. His voice was broken. The Admiral is correct. The Crethian people have no desire for war. We learned our lesson. Indeed, Chen said, which brings me to my testimony today. The Council asked me to explain how humanity conducts warfare. So I'll be direct. She activated a hologram showing the timeline of the war. The Crethians attacked New Harmony on day 1. We gave them 48 hours to leave. They refused. On day 3, we struck 12 of their systems simultaneously. We didn't attack civilians. We destroyed military infrastructure, shipyards, supply depots, communication relays, everything that made their empire function. The hologram showed the spreading damage across Crethian space. For 3 months, we systematically dismantled their ability to wage war. We didn't occupy systems. We didn't kill unnecessarily. We simply removed their military capability. When they tried to rebuild, we destroyed the new facilities too. When they tried to regroup their fleets, we hunted them down. She zoomed in on Kreth Prime. Finally, we blockaded their homeworld. We didn't bombard it. We didn't invade it. We just waited. Starvation and internal pressure did more damage than any weapon could. In the end, they surrendered because their own people demanded it. A young ambassador from a small species called out, "But Admiral, this seems cruel. To make them suffer like that. To hunt them relentlessly. Wouldn't it have been more merciful to fight one decisive battle?" Chen's expression hardened. Merciful? They attacked our colony without warning. They killed 3,000 civilians in orbital bombardment. They refused every chance to surrender peacefully. We gave them mercy they didn't deserve. We left their people alive. We sent food to colonies that surrendered. We treated prisoners according to the rules of war. She paused, then continued. But you want to know the real reason we fought this way? To send a message. Not just to the Crethians, but to every species in this chamber. Attack humanity, and this is what happens. We don't conquer you. We don't occupy you. We don't need to. We simply break you so completely that you never threaten us again. The chamber was silent. Finally, the Quellan spoke. Admiral, some might call that intimidation. Call it whatever you want, Chen replied. We call it deterrence. For 80 years after the Rim War, no one attacked humanity. Then the Crethians forgot why. They thought our reputation was exaggerated. Now everyone knows it isn't. Thelsarn stood slowly. The Admiral speaks truth. I warned the Crethians. I told them what would happen. They didn't listen. Now the galaxy has seen proof. Humans are not conquerors, but they are the most dangerous enemy you could ever make. They don't stop. They don't forgive. They don't forget. So what happens now? Asked a mammalian ambassador. Does humanity expect us all to live in fear? No, Chen said. We expect you to live in peace. The United Human Nations has no territorial ambitions. We trade freely. We share technology. We participate in the Council as equal partners. But if you attack us, if you threaten our people, if you ignore our warnings... She let the sentence hang unfinished. The message was clear. The galaxy had a new rule. Don't fight humans. The Council session ended. Chen walked out of the chamber with Thelzarn beside her. The old ambassador moved slowly, his ancient scales clicking against the floor. "You've terrified them," he said quietly. "Good," Chen replied. "Better they're scared than stupid enough to try what the Krethians did. Do you think this will keep the peace?" Chen considered the question. "For a while. Eventually, someone will forget. Someone young and ambitious will look at humanity and think they can win where others failed. It always happens. And then we'll do this all over again," Chen said tiredly. "We'll warn them. They'll ignore us. We'll break them. The galaxy will remember for another few decades. Then we'll repeat the cycle." Thelzarn sighed. "It seems like a heavy burden." "It is," Chen admitted. "But it's better than the alternative. Better that we fight occasionally than constantly. Better that we're feared than tested repeatedly. It's not the galaxy we wanted, Ambassador, but it's the one we have." They parted ways at the transport station. Thelzarn returned to his ship, feeling his centuries of age. He had lived through 6 major galactic wars. He wondered how many more he would see before the galaxy learned to leave humanity alone. 3 weeks later, Thelzarn was reviewing intelligence reports when something caught his attention. The Morthak clans, a warrior culture from the galactic south, were mobilizing their fleets. He accessed their public broadcasts. A Morthak war chief was giving a speech, his 4 eyes blazing with confidence. "The humans defeated the weak Krethians. But we are Morthak. We are stronger. We are fiercer. We will prove that human reputation is built on lies." The war chief's subordinates cheered. They began planning an attack on human mining operations in the frontier systems. Thelzarn immediately sent a message to Chen. "Admiral, the Morthak are preparing to attack you. They believe they can succeed where the Krethians failed." Chen's response came quickly. "Thank you for the warning, Ambassador. We're already tracking their fleet movements. Our response is prepared." Thelzarn felt a deep sadness. Another species about to learn the hard way. In a detention facility on Earth, Vormix sat in his cell watching a news broadcast. The Morthak war chief was declaring his intention to fight humanity. The general watched the bombastic speech and felt nothing but pity. A human guard walked by. Vormix called out to him. "Excuse me, guard. That broadcast about the Morthak. Will humanity fight them?" The guard looked at the screen and shrugged. "If they attack us? Yeah, we'll fight. But honestly, they'll probably back down when they see what we've got waiting for them." "And if they don't back down?" The guard smiled sadly. "Then I guess the galaxy gets another lesson. We didn't want to be the scary ones, you know. We'd rather just be left alone, but if species keep testing us, we have to respond." Vormix nodded slowly. "When I attacked New Harmony, I thought we would win easily. I thought humans were soft, weak. I was wrong about everything." "Yeah," the guard said. "A lot of people make that mistake. We look friendly. We trade and negotiate and try to be peaceful. Then someone assumes that means we're pushovers." He gestured at Vormix. "How'd that work out for you?" Vormix had no answer. He turned back to the broadcast. On the screen, the Morthak war chief was showing footage of Krethian defeats, claiming his people would do better. The general wanted to reach through the screen and shake him, to tell him to stop, to beg him to listen to reason. But he knew it wouldn't matter. Pride and arrogance were diseases. The Morthak would learn the same lesson the Krethians had learned, the hard way. On a human military base, alert sirens began to sound. Officers rushed to their stations. Data scrolled across screens showing Morthak fleet movements. They were heading toward human territory. The base commander reviewed the information and opened a secure channel. "Earth Command, this is Forward Base 17. Morthak fleets are moving toward Sector 8. Estimated time to human space, 72 hours. Request instructions." Earth Command's response was calm, almost routine. "Acknowledged, Forward Base 17. Alert status, Amber. Deploy surveillance drones. Begin reconnaissance operations. Do not engage unless fired upon. Let's see if they're smart enough to turn back." The commander closed the channel and looked at his staff. "You heard Earth Command. Let's hope the Morthak are smarter than the Krethians." But deep down, everyone knew they probably weren't. The galaxy would learn again. Humanity would teach the lesson again, and the cycle would continue, because in the end there was only one rule that mattered in the galaxy now. They were warned not to fight humans. But once humanity moved, no one got away.